Hello everybody, welcome to TraderMerlin Show. It is your Monday edition, and a wild Monday it is. We have I think an event that I've never seen. Maybe back in the late 90s I might have seen it once or twice, but I never really tracked it using this measurement. I'm going to show you what that is today. Should be pretty exciting. Of course, you guys can all thank JD because he's been asking me to show you my tiramisu recipe. And lo and behold, I'm going to show you that today, but it's not just a show about here's a tiramisu recipe. This was done as a presentation I did for the Traders Expo years ago, where I built an analogy to why trading is like making tiramisu. And when I came up with the original idea, I like to cook. I'm not a great cook, but one thing I love making is tiramisu. It's a danger because it's so good. Oh, sorry, GD's a she. Thank you, GD, for the correction. Yeah, I wanted to kind of share that with everybody. I thought it'd be nice for all of you because you can all take trading and relate it to something that you do. In my case, I'm going to look at tiramisu. We'll do that here in just a little bit. First, let's do a couple things of housekeeping. Of course, we have a pretty busy week this week. Brennan Wendell will be our guest tomorrow. I'm going to have Walker Englund talking Forex on Wednesday's show. Fingers crossed, I'll have John O'Donnell on the program on Thursday. And then we're going to have John Rowland on the show on Friday. So there's so many great announcements and guests on this week. Pretty excited. So let's kick things off. What our markets did today, I will do a little bit of a trader update here, or a market update, just because, you know what, we have to take a look at what happened out there. First, let me start with the worst performer. Crude oil down 3.46%. And it's funny, we talked about this over and over again over the past couple of weeks. And where did we say it was going to potentially turn around? You saw it today. Crude oil hit a high price of $40.44, which if you look back here, I'll put a line across the high of this candle way back here and give you a date for those that listen to the podcast. I'm putting it right across the candle from the 16th of March. That was $40.11. And really that kind of zone that you would look at for that one brings it all the way up to, let's say, $42.71. I said it's going to have some difficulty there. Well, we smacked our head on it in a previous trading session. Today, we tiptoed above that 40 mark, and now we dropped back down to the tune of 3.46%. So those who say supply and demand doesn't work just aren't quite using it properly. That was your worst performer, even though it's not too bad. It's due for a correction. Bitcoin is your next one on this. You had a slide of 0.2% for Bitcoin. 9,780 is where it's at, but technically nothing noteworthy there. Let's go to the NQ. It was the day for the indexes, and a lot of people give me a grief because I curse. You just got to look at this market and go, holy shit, what the hell is going on? Sorry for those that don't like cursing. There's some things I can't change. There's no other word to use. What do you go? Holy mackerel? Holy shnikes? No, it's one of those holy shit kind of days. Here's the NASDAQ 100 ripping to all-time highs yet again. You saw the breakout on Friday's session. All of a sudden, we just continued to rip today. NASDAQ was up 0.76%, finishing the day at 9,883. Yeah, it is destroying it. And you're going to see something here in just a minute before I do the tiramisu that, like I say, I've never seen before. S&P 500, yes, I am clearly probably going to end up with a massive loss on my put options. It's okay. It was all part of the master plan. If it went against me, I knew my defined loss. It's all right. I don't want to lose it, but it's probably going to happen. S&P was up 1.26%, and the reason this is probably going to get worse is, do you see anything off to the left-hand side of the chart over here that could stop price right now? No. The next thing that's going to stop price is probably that gap fill that goes all the way back into February and those all-time highs. So, the logic here says it's really looking like we are going to rip to all-time highs. Tom, you're right. I could have said holy tiramisu, holy cannoli. That's good. I like that. Oh, I'll even give you guys a great little Italian lesson today as I go through that one. All right, let me keep moving here before I get sidetracked. Gold. It was suffering some pretty ugly losses over the past 5 days, although today bounced back up to the tune of 1.33%. That brought gold to 1,705 on the session. Not too shabby, but still, it is looking weak. We are seeing, obviously, this downtrend established for the past couple of weeks here on gold. All right, finally, the real victor, Russell 2000. Now, we talked about it once it broke above that 1,400, not 1,400 mark. It was this mark right around 1370. Said, look, 1,500, just above it, there's a supply zone. We are like at the upper end of that supply zone right now as we speak for the Russell 2000. It was a 2.39% day for the Russell 2000. I really, just a ballistic move, and it's just continuing. These are basically, as cities open up, optimism is pouring into the markets as Tom was talking about in some of the text and messages you sent me. Yeah, businesses are getting back to normal. It is a question of how normal is that going to be? Are we going to see another second wave of coronavirus? A lot of people feeling we are. I don't know. At this point, it looks like we're going to slowly get our lives back to normal, and hopefully we can stop wearing masks everywhere we go. Now, as you look at these charts, obviously they look pretty damn incredible, but there's something I wanted to show you today that is extremely rare. Like I almost wanted to do it for the whole S&P 500, but as you guys know, I run a filter for the S&P 500. I whittle out all the stuff that's is under a certain price, under a certain amount of volume traded per day, and the point of that is that leaves me with securities that are somewhat tradable, right? Because I don't want to trade things that are too illiquid or have too cheap of a price, because then it's just penny stocks, and to me that's gambling. So I wanted to show you this, and I'm actually going to do a preemptive chart of the week. I hope you guys actually like the chart of the week on the junk bond market. I thought that was a very interesting and compelling chart. If you didn't see that, go to the YouTube page, and you can see that under the chart of the week section, which I posted on Saturday morning. Here is what I'm already going to call the chart of the week, and yeah, I may do another one on Saturday, but this is just what I've got cooking for today. Let me bring this one up full screen for you guys on the left. What you're looking at here is, I'm going to make it even bigger just so you can make it very, very in your face when you look at this. So I don't want it to be anything not clear. What I did, again, is I took the S&P 500 and I took all of it, whittled it down to, I think it was 417 stocks. So really, when I run my volume filter, I ended up kicking out about 83 different securities. Okay? No big deal. Out of those 417 stocks, take a guess. I'll just type it into chat. I like interaction today, and I slowed down the latency so we can get some faster response times here today. Out of 417 stocks, how many do you think, how many of those are above their 20-period moving average? Right? So out of 417, how many are above the moving average, 20-period moving average, right? For those that might not be familiar with it, a 20-period moving average is simply, the average closing price over the last 20 days and smoothed it. Okay, so John says 120 out of 417. Any other guesses out there? It's pretty incredible. It really is unbelievable when you think about it. Brendan, so far you're the closest. It's unbelievable to think that out of 417, 394 of them are above the 20-period moving average. And I can show you that right here. If you guys look at the screen, you'll notice this Bollinger Band percent B, right? I'm going to go down to where it says 50%. It's way down here. I mean, it's almost off the screen. Basically, these securities right here that I have highlighted in white are the only ones that are below their 20-period moving average. I've never seen that before. That is an incredible surge. So a lot of people like to look for advanced decliners. This is beyond an advanced decliners. This is just stocks that are going absolutely gangbusters to the upside. Now, I'll take it even further. When you look at the upper Bollinger Bands, you guys might remember the conversation I did the other day when an individual in chat was asking, said, just tell me about an indicator, and I explained Bollinger Bands. And we go into standard deviations. Now, with 2 standard deviations, you should have like 96% of all the data within a study should be within 2 standard deviations, meaning you have, is it 96? Yeah, you have 2% above it or 2% below. So when we look at Bollinger Bands, there really is essentially a 2% chance that things should be above the Bollinger Bands, or 2% that are going to be below the Bollinger Bands. That's just basic statistics. Check this out. This is where you go, oh my goodness, I just can't believe it. I'm going to show you the number of securities that are above the upper Bollinger Band. And I'm going to go right to where it says 100. I know it's kind of deceiving. Right here. Okay. So on Skyworks, right now, out of 417 stocks, almost half of those are above the upper Bollinger Band. That is what I'm talking about. I've never seen. You have so many stocks that are just sky high right now. It's scary. And it's one of those things where it has to take a pause. It's just a question of when. And unfortunately, money is just flowing into this. Optimism is pouring into the markets. But you can see some of these are really, really overextended. I mean, I could just keep scrolling and scrolling here. Anything above 100 right here, guys, means it's above its upper Bollinger Band by that percentage. So pretty incredible. I mean, when you have things like Boeing up 50% in 3 trading sessions, it really does paint a pretty interesting picture for our markets. Just one of those things I thought I would share with you, kind of making that your chart of the week a little bit early here, but I thought it was noteworthy and might want to share that one with you guys. So hopefully you enjoyed that one. Okay. Let's go down the trading route a little bit here, and I'm going to start with the discussion, which was brought on by GD. GD asked about this one for a while, and I thought, you know what? I thought that was a domesticated rat. That was Bollinger Bands. I thought, why not? I don't have a guest on the show today. Felt like doing this one for a while, so we're going to do why trading is like tiramisu. Now, obviously, it's not like, oh, well, they're both sweet and you know, they pick you up. But first off, let me give you a little bit of an idea of what tiramisu is for those of you who don't know. For those that aren't Italian, tirare is to pull, su is up. So really, tiramisu means to pull up or pick me up. It's one of those kind of desserts that gets you amped because it's loaded with espresso. My recipe is no different, so please, if you are taking this one or writing down this recipe as we go, do not plan on eating tiramisu right before you go to bedtime because you'll be awake all night, but you'll be happy. So why is trading like making tiramisu? So I'm going to be asking you guys a bunch of questions along the way just to get some interaction here. This tiramisu is not the one that I made. I just took a nice little picture, but I thought I'd start with a great picture of what you guys are probably salivating over right now, which is this wonderfully delicious Italian dessert. Now, here is my tiramisu, and I'm going to just real quickly show you the ingredients. And the whole time we're doing this, I just want you to think about trading. These are the ingredients, and you might want to write these down or take a screenshot. You can hit print screen and take a shot of the screen if you like. It's 1 cup of espresso, 1 cup heavy whipping cream, 1/2 cup of sugar, white sugar, of course, 2 tablespoons of Kahlua, 1 tablespoon of amaretto, 16 ounces of mascarpone cheese, 1/8 cup cocoa, and that could be a little bit generous actually. Also, you can use some just raw chocolate, dark chocolate's the best, and 1 package of lady fingers. Now, let me ask you, I've right now given you all of the ingredients to make probably the most amazing tiramisu that you've ever had in your life. How many of you... Yes, Chris, you're on it. How many of you think that you could make that tiramisu, even though I've given you all the ingredients, you have them 100% right there in front of your face as we speak? How many of you, by yes or no, could make this tiramisu now? How many of you think you can do it? I don't drop F-bombs near as much as Gordon Ramsay have. How many think you could do it? I'm curious. You know, it's the reason I bring it up is because there is a direct correlation to trading here. Suraj says, not me. And it good. I mean, I've given you all the ingredients to do it, and you're still saying not you. Need the recipe, steps, and instructions. So, okay, so Joseph says yes. I'm just seeing how many people say yes. I barely make toast. Herbert does as well. Okay. Yeah, but see, here's the thing, guys. And most of you are some of you could probably do it. Okay, cool. Great. My guess is most of you probably can't, even though the ones that said yes. And the reason I say that is, when do you put these steps in? There is a strict process to how you do this, right? The way you really make this tiramisu great is you mix the amaretto with espresso, and then you soak those ladyfingers in it. Some people just put the ladyfingers in the espresso and sprinkle on amaretto or brandy later. That's the key. The key here is it's about the process and saying, here's all the exact steps. Now, the reason I did this presentation years ago is because I'm pretty sure that if it gave every one of you just all these ingredients on a table and said make tiramisu, you would not be able to do it. I love the optimism. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be able to make it this way. And I said, you know what, let me make a relationship to trading. That's really what this is all about. It's saying in trading, you have the same basic elements, don't you? If I looked at my trading, it all starts with a trading plan. When I say trading plan, I'm talking about the master plan, the business plan, if you will. It takes an incredible amount of discipline, which was my biggest challenge at the beginning. It takes strategies, right? There's a million different strategies out there that you can use. Of course, I'm a practitioner of supply and demand, but I sprinkle a lot of other things on top of that, and that's written down in my trading plan as part of my strategy. If we keep going here, we'll go to journaling. You guys have heard me emphasize this one significantly over the years. Even if you're a Power Trading Radio listener, I've been talking about journaling since I started that show over a decade ago, because journaling is so important to helping you understand what mistakes you are making and how you can fix those. Now, I'll go a little bit further. You got risk management, obviously, is key. Things like money management, as well as reviewing the review process. How do you go over it? And periodic adjustments. That's why you can actually make this, Joseph, with other ways that aren't that don't involve lactose. You could use different types of milks and creams and things like that, eggs. So there are different ways around it, but not this one. This one definitely has dairy in it. So I wanted to just put those two together because I can give every one of you ingredients like this and talk about your trading plan, discipline, trading strategy, journaling, risk management, money management, review process, periodic adjustments. And without the right application or order or process, you probably aren't going to succeed. It's just the way that it is. You know, you have certain people out there who will focus on one thing, right? There's the individual who I have so many issues with. It's just about, here's a level. There's nothing else to it. Well, where's that discipline? Where's that trading plan? Where's the money management? Where's the review process? All these things have to be in place for all of your trading styles, regardless of what you do, long-term or short-term. So now the real meat and potatoes, which is what you've been waiting for, and I'll leave these up here. I'm going to bring them on one by one just to show you kind of that process, and then feel free to take a screenshot of it, and you'll have yourself a tiramisu tonight if you want. All right, first step here is pretty simple. In a small bowl, I combine the espresso and the Kahlua. And I said amaretto earlier, I meant Kahlua. I put it together to let them mix, because what ends up happening here is the Kahlua soaks in a little bit into the cookies as well, or the lady fingers as well. And make sure it's not Nilla wafers. I've seen people make tiramisu with Nilla wafers. I'm like, come on, my grandma ate Nilla wafers. Who eats Nilla wafers anymore? You don't make tiramisu with that. They have to be lady fingers. And you can actually go to different Italian delicatessens and try different lady fingers. There are actually a couple brands that are better than others. In my tiramisu trading, that's right. All right, so in a small bowl, what I'll do is I take that espresso and Kahlua and I put it in the fridge. I let it chill. If you have a specific espresso you like, I actually just go to Starbucks and ask them to give me, an 8 shot. It's like $8 worth of espresso, but I like their espresso. What can I say? Second step, okay, you're taking whipped cream and you're going to take that half cup of whipped cream and whip it till it's really thick. Then you mix in the sugar, the amaretto, and the amaretto here is key for me. Most tiramisu recipes, and do yourselves a Pepsi challenge if you want. Some use brandy. I use amaretto because it gives it a sweeter almond flavor, and I find that to be way, 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 way better than the brandy version. That's up to you, but this is my recipe. Take it for what it's worth. You'd mix the sugar, the amaretto, and mascarpone until they're creamy in a bowl. And what I encourage you to do, guys, is don't eat all the batter. As soon as you stick your finger in to see if it tastes good, you're like, oh my God. And you start grabbing the bigger spoons because it's just delicious. It's a fault. You start upset stomach. They're eating too much of it. So that's step 3. And I've got 10 steps here. That's all it is. Step 4, add the whipped cream to that mix that you just made. So you mix the amaretto, the mascarpone, and the sugar. Once that's blended well or mixed well, throw in that whipped cream. Then from there, you stir, you take the lady fingers, you dunk them in the espresso mix you made earlier, and don't overly soak them. Yes. Well, I love Dave says, with all the booze, why even bother? Just drink it. It's not that much booze. It's a couple of shots worth. But the key here is, I'll give you a visual here. I don't have a bowl with me, but you take the lady finger, I put it underneath the liquid, I flip it, put it under, I take it out right away. Lady fingers are pretty delicate, so if they stand there too long, they just turn to mush. So you want to have them still some kind of, a little bit of a substance there before it turns into just mush. All right, so then what you do is you get one of those little bread pans, you line them up in there across the bottom, just a layer of those lady fingers that are soaked in espresso and Kahlua. Once you do that, then you take that cream mix. Oh, do I have the wrong step? Down. Dab nabbit. I jumped too quick. Huh. Why did all of a sudden my numbers jump out of order? Are you kidding me? What? Oh, you're going to have to give me 5 seconds. For some reason, I don't know why, but I got through to step 5, and now I don't know why they're not there, but the other steps are no longer there. So I don't know exactly what happened there. I will fix that for you guys right now, for sure. Bear with me. Huh. I had this all set. I was doing tons of great stuff for you, and now I can't seem to get my tiramisu to work right. So you're at step 5. Let me see why that has disappeared on you. Excuse me for the delay. And now that I get to the drum roll part, right? And you guys are like, wait, there it goes. Okay, so here we go. This is the step 6 through 10. Whew. Had me worried for a second. So what you do is you soak those lady fingers, put them at the bottom of the pan, and then what you're going to do is you're going to cover it with a layer of the batter that you made, which is the sugar, the mascarpone cheese, and the whipped cream. And you just coat it lightly. All right, cover that layer, and then once you've covered that layer, there you go. You sprinkle chocolate over the top of that, Then you start another layer of cookies, put the cream on top of that. So you got 2 layers of cookies, 2 layers of cream and chocolate. And then at the very top, you shave the chocolate over the top. And then the last step is you let it chill for 30 minutes. So there's your steps 6 through 10 in case anybody wants to take a screenshot of that one. So you've got steps 1 through 5 and steps 6 through 10. I think you have all the visuals you need now to officially make yourself this tiramisu, which I am a master fan of and a master chef. So there you go. That's the tiramisu recipe. And the whole point I tried to make during that presentation when I taught this in, I think it was in Las Vegas, is when you have a process, and this is why I am still aligned with Online Trading Academy and still helping build content, because part of what we're doing is making it process-based, trying to say, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. If you just have one of the pieces and you don't follow the process, all of a sudden you don't get the results that you want. And, sometimes I sound a bit callous and rude when I reference individuals who maybe are complaining that they're not successful, or they tend to point the finger at Online Trading Academy, say the education sucks, or even other schools that they've gone to. And my point is, a lot of people are trying to circumvent steps. There was an individual years ago who was standing out front of the building with a sign saying, I lost all this money because of Online Trading Academy. And I went up to him and asked him, I said, listen, did you follow the rules? And he's like, well, I said, listen, did you trade way bigger than you were supposed to? He says, yeah. I said, did you trade the really volatile stuff? Yeah. I said, did you use stop losses? He says, yeah. I said, those are like the 3 main things that you need to focus on, and you violated all those in your trades. How are we to blame? How is OTA or anybody else to blame when you're the one who violated the rules that you were given? If I told you to use Kahlua in this and you decide to use vodka, it's not going to taste the same. It's going to be completely different. So the point is, you take a strategy that someone teaches you, and of course core strategy is pretty rule-based. It's steps 1, here's how you draw your proximals, your distals, and all these different zoning process techniques. As you run through that, you start to consistently apply those rules. And those rules may or may not consistently get you results, right? That's the big challenge, because sometimes we apply them slightly differently. The point is, you have to apply your rules and your strategy the way that you want and get a baseline metric. I started that tiramisu with a totally different recipe. And from there, I modified it to tweak it, because my original recipe used brandy. I just didn't really like the flavor of brandy, so I switched to amaretto, and I was like, wow, sensationally better. So you have to... Brendan, I like that. I always fail because I always F up. Yeah, but see, what I love about you, Brendan, and others in here, is you generally know when you make a mistake. And how do you know you made a mistake? Because you had rules. And you can look back at your rules and go, God damn it, I violated number 4 again, right? That's the easy part of a recipe for anything. It's easy to find out what you did wrong. I'll give you another example. A good friend of mine was on the show Chopped. Great chef. He actually made it to the final round where they made a dessert. And it was funny and sad at the same time, because he made it to the final round and he should have won 10 grand. His presentation through the first 2 courses were head and shoulders above the competition. Should have walked right through the finals. So he had to make a souffle. So he made a souffle and he brings it out there. It's just him and the other contestant at the final one. And his name is Peter Lee. You can go check it out. And he went out there, and the chef just takes a bite and goes like this. Did you forget something? And Pete's thinking, and he goes, baking powder. He forgot one ingredient and the whole thing was ruined and he lost the show. To me, that's the same thing in trading. You forget one step, you forget one little piece, one process that you want to maybe overlook or forgot about, and then all of a sudden your trade's ruined. If you made money on it, you might have just been lucky. But to me, that is how tiramisu is like trading. Let's see if I can go through here. Yes. Batista says, hit the light switch or hit the like switch. Yeah, Dave, I wouldn't recommend using vodka, but then again, it's just different taste palettes. I like my tiramisu to be sweet. They are rigged. I really do think that cooking show was rigged. Somebody said they thought the cooking show was rigged. All right. So now let me ask you, with what I've given you right now, steps 1 through 10, all the ingredients, and even a little bit of color commentary. I might have gone a little bit too fast, but a little bit of color commentary. How many of you think that you could make this tiramisu right now as we speak? Bueller? Anybody? I'm guessing most of you can do it now. You should be able to. And I would definitely encourage you guys to try it. Go home tonight, grab those ingredients, and you'll get different results even by using different mascarpone cheeses. It's very interesting. You know, different brands of cheeses taste different. And mascarpone, they're very different brands out there. Some are a little bit sweeter than others. But cool. Big Eb still says nope. Dave, you said nope? Come on, guys. I wish you guys lived closer because I would actually just bring you some tiramisu. I'm pretty sure all of you could do this. This is a very easy dish to make. It's just follow the steps. Cool. Good. Well, if you guys do, let me know how it works out. Let me know how it works out. I'd love to hear that. Brendan says, Merlin, I could do it, but it may suck. Here's the beautiful thing about it. Even if you mess up, you still have Kahlua and espresso-soaked ladyfingers covered in a whipped cream and mascarpone and sugar, which also has on top of that some amaretto and chocolate. So you could pretty much eat those things in just one big messy pile that is unidentifiable other than mush, and it would probably still taste delicious. If you're going for the aesthetic looks, yeah, you might mess that part up, but you should, Marshall. I want tiramisu right now, too. You know what? I might actually make some tonight and eat it on the show. All right. Where do you live, Chris? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, once curfew's listed, we'll have a party at my place. Why not? A tiramisu party. Do it live in my kitchen. Don't tempt me. I'm trying to keep this show on point with like trading and investing in markets, but I could very easily be encouraged to do a tiramisu show. The problem is I would be drinking during the tiramisu show, and I'd eat it all, so I'd probably just be intoxicated and have an upset stomach, which would make for a very entertaining show. Oh yeah, Chris, can't make it to Texas. Sorry about that. Yep, Brendan, it's a great quote. To try and fail is better than to never try at all, especially with baking. It's with anything, I think. I mean, unless you're juggling chainsaws. Then trying and failing with that is obviously a little bit hazardous. But, you know, I did not make that tiramisu perfect the first time I made it. No way, man. It took me probably 4 or 5 till I went, this is it. I really think I got a winner here. And my buddy Nick, my really good friend from Nick, I told you about his mom who's got Cucina Italiana from Florida Ceiling in their house. He is a great cook. He came over here and I challenged him to a tiramisu cook-off. His actually was probably the more authentic way because he used egg whites. Mine doesn't use egg whites. And they're both delicious, but I think the amaretto is what pushes mine over the edge. All right. I got some time here. I know I was off topic a little bit for today's show, but GD, that was for you. Thank you very much for the persistence and the patience and waiting for the right time to do that show. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and you know what? You got something to share now. I may actually clip that part out and just the tiramisu portion, post it on the YouTube so people can have that one. But all right, I guess we can shift gears here. Any questions that you guys may have about these markets that I can get to here in a quick little bit? I'm going to maybe end the show. It's not going to be an hour show today. I'll probably shorten it. While you guys type in questions now, do me a favor. Send in your questions. If you like the tiramisu show, go ahead and click the like button. I would appreciate that. And I'm going to go to this question here from Larry. And I don't know if I have a decent answer on this one. Larry says, when I have a profitable trade, is there a way I can have taxes taken out at the moment instead of waiting until tax season? I know that you can pay an expected tax, but I mean, how big of a trade did you make, brother? I mean, was this so monstrous? What I would just do is set aside money. So let's say you think you're going to have a $50,000 tax hit. I'm making it up, or maybe go smaller. It's a $10,000 tax hit, and you want to be prepared for that. Why not just take that $10,000, throw it into a CD until April 15th, right? And at least get 1 or 2% off of that. That's probably what I would do. Just knowing that you're going to end up paying that tax down the road as opposed to having it taken out now. Because one of the things I don't like about the way that it works right now is, or if you pay taxes now, you pay taxes now, but you could be earning on the next 6, 8, 9 months with that money, even though it might just be $100 or so. It's still money that you could be earning. So I don't know if I would pay the taxes now. I would pull out those taxes so when tax season comes, I'm not going to get blindsided by a big tax liability. Just have it sitting in an account. It was the same thing when I sell real estate. You know you're going to get a pretty big tax hit. I take that, what I estimate those taxes to be, I'll throw it into an account, either in a savings or buy a CD with it and just let that build itself, or maybe even put it to better use through trading and investing or putting it something that gets a greater rate of return. That's generally what I would do. Brendan says, can we drink pints of bull tears? I think right now it's the the exact opposite, right? It's bear tears. I mean, the bears are getting murdered right now. The good news for me with my options trade is the loss is limited, right? It's just the value of what I paid for those puts. Obviously, I didn't want to lose that, and it's not over yet. I'm going to wait till the third week of July before I close that trade out, so I'll get something out of that trade. There'll still be some time value left, but right now, it just doesn't really seem like anything is going to derail this except maybe Q2 earnings. I mean, we even have an unbelievable amount of civil unrest going on right now, and maybe a greater disdain for political leaders than ever, and markets are just soaring. So right now it is just full gas pedal upside. So it's bear tears right now, not bulls. Let's see. I don't know. I don't see the crash happening until at least Q2. We still going high. Do the Fed pumps? Yes, I do think we're going to keep going higher. You've got trillions of dollars. That, when I did that show called Market, I think it said Market Return to All-Time Highs or something like that. That was part of the argument. If there's three real big variables here. Number one is how quickly we recover from the whole coronavirus quarantine issue. Now, I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but it seems to me that the coronavirus issue was way overblown. Okay, yes, it's killing some people, but it's way overblown. Number two, you have trillions of dollars that was now injected into our economy, preparing for the worst, and it's not even really that bad. The third variable is how quickly businesses reopen and how quickly a lot of these people who are on unemployment decide to go back to work. As I mentioned, I've got a couple friends who are going, I make more money by sitting on my butt at home and collecting unemployment. That will end in July with the extra kick-in that the government's doing. So we'll see what happens on the road. But right now, it just doesn't look like anything is going to derail this. Money is pouring in like crazy. Patrick says, hey, Merle, when is Q2 and how can I figure that out? I'm just looking for Q2 earnings. So one of the things that you can do, I generally look at Alcoa. Let me see if I can bring it up here for you. Let's see, earnings search. So there's a bunch of different websites you can use for earnings. Let me see if I can bring this one up here. I'll try to get off to the side. And all right, let me share the screen with you. So here is Alcoa. Generally, they're the one that reports earnings first. So you can pretty much go 3 months down the road. So in July, they're going to be reporting earnings. The exact date I don't have right now. Sometimes they actually have it listed here already, but it'll be in July. Will be when they start kicking off their earnings season, and that will be, most of the major banks start their earnings season. We'll see how that goes, but right now, everything's looking really good. These gains are almost just too much for me. Not too much for me, but just unbelievable. I mean, just look at the chart of Boeing. I don't know if anybody caught the chart of Boeing. I will bring that one up for you here. It's incredible. This is one of those charts you're just going, I can't believe that Boeing's doing it, but we were at 160 on Wednesday, and we hit 230 today. That is a monstrous move in a very, very short period of time, which is probably part of the reason why these indexes are launching, because especially the Dow, because Boeing is a major component of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So there you go. All right, what other questions I got here? Let me look off to the side. What do we got? Merlin, do you know if there's a problem with Clik? I do not know. I know they were doing some updates on it, so that may be it. Probably a temporary thing. I'm not sure. Let's see. Yeah, Batista's right. Bonds up, S&P's up, VIX is up. Something has to give. At some point it will. I just don't know when that's going to happen. Joseph says, why is CL in such a strong uptrend? Well, you got to take a look at what it did before, right? Crude oil. Here's your CL. We can make the argument, why was it in such a strong downtrend, right? I mean, look at that downtrend. So to me, it's just getting back on its feet. It was overdone. There was a weird issue with supply in those futures contracts and a big shakeout right now. I think it's just getting back to normal. I don't see it vaulting to like 70 or anything like that. This to me was just really getting back to normal for crude oil, which would probably be around that $40 to $50 range, in my opinion, right? I'm not an oil expert who's looking at seasonal trends and things like that. I'm just looking off a trading price. Right now, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback in crude oil simply because it's coming up to that overhead supply level. Maybe it drops back down to 32, where you see that last big rally start, but it's been a really, really steep run up. And Chris says Saudi pledged more production cuts until July. It all goes back to business and money. Remember months and months and months ago, before I think as this big old crash is happening, I was saying crude oil is going to get back on its feet because these Saudis and the Russians, their economy is dependent on crude oil. America's is not. Yes, there's a percentage of our economy that is dependent on production of oil, but if we remove the entire oil industry from the US, America would still function and thrive. If you remove the entire oil production industry from Saudi Arabia, they are dead in the water. They will cease to exist as a country. They will have no money. Russia will struggle greatly. They got great natural resources, but they'll struggle. So it's in their best interest to keep this high, and I was expecting a big bounce to right about here. I mean, I mentioned getting back to 40, 50 mark a while on the program, so there we go. Patrick says, if the trend is just up and showing no retracements to get in, do you just wait for a trend? Yeah, I'm not going to be buying into this rally. I mean, maybe as day trade, short-term stuff if I see it, but as far as swings or investments, I'm really going to wait for this thing to start to prove that it's going to be getting weaker, because it's a certain point. It has to. It just has to. There's way overdone with regards to move, and then certainly I don't think we're out of the woods yet with all the economic data. So I think right now you're just getting this massive relief rally, and everyone's got the fear of missing out. Somebody sent me an article over the weekend. I forgot who it was, so sorry. I always love giving people props. Let me see. I forget where it came through. It was maybe a post on a YouTube comment, but it was basically saying that the major news organizations are saying, hey, you're not on board right now, you're missing out, get in the markets now. And that's historically the most classic sign of a market top. I'll see if I can find out the exact article that was coming in. But yeah, we're getting to that point where all of a sudden everyone's got FOMO, and that's what's blasting this thing to the upside. I do think we'll get another pullback, but that's just it. Yep, fear of missing out, totally. Just keeps going and going and going. It's nuts. Let's see, do you think the reported unemployment numbers are real? That's a great question to tell you. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't trust any data that comes out of these agencies. As I've mentioned many times in the program, we interviewed a guy from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and he said that they changed the numbers to fit a political party and their agenda. Well, shit, if I'm a Republican right now, I need these job numbers to start looking good, or we're not going to get any sort of re-election. So I would be putting immense pressure on the bureaus that report that stuff to push those numbers as high as possible. I was pretty shocked to see that last number. I still felt like we would see high unemployment, but not that 13%. I thought we'd be in the 15 area. I didn't think we'd be over 19, just because so many people have gone back to work recently. But that's the thing. Do we believe all the data that comes out? I sure as hell don't. But it's what moves the markets. It's a bizarre thing we just have to deal with regards to it. I actually was ahead of my list of people to interview. I wanted to get some people from these different bureaus, like get somebody else from the Bureau of Labor Statistics or the unemployment, and just see what their thoughts are on data and how they get the numbers, because I just don't believe it. I mean, to me, GDP, CPI, all that stuff is cooked. All right. Any last minute questions? I'm going to actually wrap this one up early here today. I got a ton of stuff I need to catch up on. Do I think numbers are real? Is consumer spending a better metric? Again, who's collecting the data? I mean, obviously, I think consumer spending is important. But, if you look at the machine, again, it's kind of like opening up an old watch that has all these little dials. If you take one piece of the watch out and look at that dial, it gives you some information, but it's all the relationship to all the other pieces. So when you look at consumer spending, consumer spending would be tough to make an analysis off of by itself, because what about cost? So is consumer spending down because costs are rising? Are they staying the same? That's just one variable facing it. And then you look at things like inventories, right? And then you look at manufacturing production. All that ties together, and I'm certainly not the best economist out there, but all those factors are critical in helping you understand the next piece of that domino game. Those, they put tons of dominoes together and you hit one piece and all falls. That's that one. Any thoughts on BYND? Sure. I still have not tried it, and I don't plan on it. I would be looking to short Beyond Meat, just simply because of an opinion. The reason I'm not a big fan of Beyond Meat is they were kind of the first one to really make a push in that area, and then right away, we mentioned this when I was doing Power Trading Radio, right away you had other companies step in and immediately say, hey, you know what, we're going to start making these meatless products too. And keep in mind, the distribution channels for a lot of these other companies is far more established, and they can throw their weight around. So let's say I'm Hormel. I have clout. I have so many different products that I can threaten a business and say, hey, listen, I need you to give my product prime placement on those shelves, or I will pull the other products that your customers are demanding. And all of a sudden that vendor is going to go, okay, yeah, no problem, because they have that power. That's what you get with these big conglomerates that have tons of different products. They can bully around different stores and retailers and potentially get Beyond Meats kicked off of shelves. Price-wise, I mean, what a hell of a move today. You're looking at a 21% move today. Unfortunately, I don't see anything that just screams at me as far as being a good supply level. Right? You might eyeball this level that's right around 167 as a supply zone, but honestly, it's pretty weak to me because it's already been challenged. It's already been ripped through. So I would probably look for a better entry, and the only other one I could see that's even remotely close would be up here right on 180, and then it just gets really wonky with its all-time high. So I would probably be better buying deep out of the money puts on this one. We'll see. I may actually do that. If it gets to 180, let me know. Remind me, because I look at a lot of different stuff. I may actually buy some puts on this one, because I think that they're going to be facing an unbelievable hill of challenges from other competitors out there. That's true. That's true. Everybody thought Disney was going to kill Netflix. Has not happened. Well, Netflix did a very good job of diversifying its holdings and programs. I have not been a big Netflix fan. You guys know that. NFLX. Yeah, but I was wrong on that one too. It happens quite frequently. All right, summer barbecue season, cool. All right, let me show you the economic calendar for tomorrow, just so we can get that one out of the way. There's really, on the earnings front, it's the end. There's really nothing that critical on the table with regards to earnings right now, so it's pretty much economic announcements, and even that is rather weak. As you guys can see here, tomorrow you have wholesale inventories, JOLTS job openings, and the TIP IBD economic optimism numbers coming out for the U.S. Other than that, you got the euro with the revised GDP staying at negative 3.8%. I don't see anything on here that would really be a major game changer with regards to market direction. So I would kind of leave that economic calendar there for you guys to look at, but there really isn't anything noteworthy, I think, for the 9th. And that's it. All right, let's see. All right, well, I guess that will do it for today, everybody. Hope you enjoy your tiramisu. Let me know how it turns out for those of you that do make it, and feel free to share that recipe. It's one that I've crafted over the years. There's many of them out there, but this one's very simple and delicious. Kind of the way we should be working our trading, right? Keeping it very simple and hopefully delicious with profits. It all comes down to rules, structure, having a plan in place, and making sure you follow those steps to the T. Don't add an extra eighth, teaspoon of sugar, because all of a sudden throws the recipe off. Make it the way it was written. Plan it that way first, and then at a certain point, you can start to tweak it to fit your palate and your consumption, just like you would do with your trading. If you find a recipe that works with regards to strategy and tactics, great, and then you can tweak it to maybe work better for yourselves. All right, everybody, thank you so much. That will do it for today. Tomorrow, again, we are going to have the Brandon Wendell on the show. Yes, Big B will be on the program. If you guys have questions for Brandon or myself, send them on in at TraderMerlin.com, which you can just click that little page there. Of course, you can send them in. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I don't know. I got all kinds of different channels out there. But, yeah, send them in. We'll hopefully get to all those questions as we progress, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much. Take care.